Maybe. Filming now. Okay. I don't know if it's up in there.
No worries.
Very much worried. One of these days, it needs to work the first time.
Yeah, but
we are live.
we are live on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Okay, so let me start all over again. Welcome to another TROM-Cast. We do this every week, and anyone can participate through Jitsi. If you go to tromsci.com to our live, I'll find the link there. You can participate. And every week we choose a subject and we talk about that subject, and we talk about some news and stuff like that. And yeah, I was saying that you can also find our TROM-Cast on tromsci.com, because maybe Facebook or YouTube, sometimes you get so many copyright strikes on your videos, and one day you will wake up and you won't have access to your YouTube. It happened to me before. So you can also find them on tromsci.com, everything that we do. And today we are going to discuss about extraterrestrial life. And if you are wondering, like, what is the connection with TROM, I was thinking, like, first of all, we have a part in TROM documentary about extraterrestrial life, and it's about like the scientific way of thinking about this subject and skepticism and what we project about this kind of, like, another kind of life on other planets if you project from our perspective, and what about the so-called UFOs of today and how can we rationalize about them and so forth. So let's see where it leads. I am a little bit sleepy, but I will try to. So Dima, are you an alien or are you not? And how can we tell?
I cannot tell you this information. But what I really like in terms of aliens is to put it in perspective, as you often do, Tio, in your books. Like if you're discussing, or we are discussing any topic, and then just imagine how would alien would see this situation, how would somebody react who is not from our environment and like totally not from our planet. He's got totally different perspective, and that's really interesting sometimes to realize. And also it's interesting to speak maybe the extraterrestrial life and aliens and how it's portrayed in our mass media, in our culture, and so on. And of course, yeah, to speak if there is any life or not, and what was the odds of finding another outer space life.
Like, I know that when I was younger, I was kind of thinking that, yeah, maybe those UFO sites, it's something with them, and maybe aliens visited us. It's a lot of there are so many materials online right now that say that we know that aliens came here like thousands of years ago, and they, we have evidence in whatever history books or whatever sites and so forth. And I used to get a bit trapped with such ideas because I think they're fascinating. But the more you think about them, the more I think you understand that it's so unlikely that an alien species will ever visit Earth and we will know about it and we contact them and we develop, like, we understand them or they understand us. Right now, I'm so skeptical about such things. I don't know. Are you, Cody? Like, are you into we're into such things?
Oh, absolutely. The interest was absolutely there as well. I mean, kind of hard to not think about, like, Little Green Men or whatever. They're in your TV shows and everything. It was just like, oh yeah, aliens are a thing, and yeah, UFOs, Roswell, and whatever. But yeah, it's interesting to come around to, like, a technological perspective and then be like, okay, so these guys have at least mastered, some sort of fast travel, intergalactic or not, like the levels of technology, and then that, we're just catching them on camera just cruising over the Atlantic Ocean or something. Like, I feel like,
how stupid can you be? Like, if you come from so many light years away, but you do with the phone, like, oh, what?
Yeah, it was like, oh, we crashed in New Mexico. We must have ran out of gas. Oh, jeez, the GPS.
We didn't crash for light years, traveling, but fuck that sea, fuck that desert. Like, Jesus Christ, that was confusing. Boom.
Oops.
Yeah.
And then imagine for outer space life to get into us, what kind of technology they could have, and then that means that they're way more advanced than we are, and then what is their perspective on us? I mean, they may scatter our Earth for resources or something, but at the end, even if the some aliens will reach us, probably it won't benefit humans at all. Like, there's a good comparison. It's kind of the same when Columbus reaches America. It wasn't really good for native people, who are less advanced than the guy on the ship with a musket.
Yeah, so. It was an extermination.
But we always send signals like, "Hey, we're here."
Yeah.
Hey,
well, I mean,
hey, here. For everyone who wants to visit us.
Yeah. Well, even the broadcasts that you don't even realize, like the ones, all the TV broadcasts that are just unintentionally just going out into space, and that we're just radiating all this content. It's just going out into space, and eventually, it's just traveling at light speed, and eventually, that signal could potentially be picked up if you're looking for it.
I think they kidnapped Dima, or I don't see.
Yeah, potentially.
I'm still here.
It's clone.
Because there are many people who say, I've seen such documentaries years ago, who say that kidnapped and they had some stuff implanted into them. And interestingly, I think the most uninteresting people get kidnapped. I mean, you don't hear a scientist be like, okay, I was kidnapped, and no, it's just like some poor dude who's like seeking for attention. Like, no, they kidnapped me. They were interested in me.
By the way, there was a study in like 70s. A lot of these cases came about when people just claimed that they were abducted by aliens, but actually it all happens because there was a major movie which had this scenario of aliens taking out somebody out.
I don't see the connection.
Yeah,
I don't see the connection.
And after these movies, yes, there's like 500% race of such claims.
What? The movie got the aliens excited.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that maybe strange things that don't happen in our world that we cannot explain, but to me, to say that, maybe there is an alien species from somewhere else who did that, to me, that's so extraordinary to invent. I mean, you can make up a million other scenarios that are more plausible than inventing a species coming from outer space. And
it is
so on that.
And yeah,
but it's quite a hot topic actually in media, and how many major movies are made with the same scenario, and we always aliens come and they we have to fight them, and they want to capture our planet and use humans and so on.
And they of course always want to meet the president.
Yeah, they want to meet the president.
Oh yeah, no. American president will solve this problem.
American president. I've seen that. I mean, now I know.
So no worries, guys. If
I don't think I think even if you try to make a movie, is even if you try to be smart about it, it could be. I think you can make it really dumb because it's impossible to know how to project such a thing. You don't even know how to approach it. Like it's difficult. Could be movies are the same kind of scenario, and people have this image in their heads, like they project, even when those who say that were kidnapped, somehow they have the same image that Hollywood has about aliens, which is quite like a coincidence there.
The big black eyes and the lanky body. The grays. The grays.
I've seen a video with, I think, Neil Tyson. He was explaining like what is and some biologists, what is the likelihood for another species to have a face and 2 eyes and a mouth. Like, it's very unlikely. It's extremely unlikely, actually. Even on this planet, you take a spider, like so many eyes, or take other creatures. Even here, you have so much variety. It will be very weird over here.
We got our own aliens on this planet, it seems, sometimes when we discover those new species. Just nothing you could have ever conceived of. It's like, and it's already a thing that's evolved. And it's there.
Yeah, we cannot imagine that sometimes. How can we imagine the other ones?
Advanced.
But I've seen that some aliens, I mean, it was that thing with in fields, the signs in
yeah. The crop circles.
Crop circle. Okay, that's the one. Like, yeah, and I remember when they discovered some guys who were doing those. They're like, yeah, we do them. Like,
it's fine.
Yeah, but there's interesting thing about those crop circles. Like the 2 guys here claimed that they got this idea and they, made all these signs and that's it. But then when you look at those which they did, it's really awful. I mean, when you look at them, you can tell it's human made. And I watched a documentary about 2 other guys, scientists, and they were researching all these fields. They went there and done a lot of analysis and so on. So what they said at the end, that 95% of them are definitely human-made, but 5% we cannot tell like how they came about. They're so perfect, and all this how you called forgot the name. Oh, not the plants, but
blueprints,
like the stick which hold the plants.
Oh,
so basically,
stem.
Okay, whatever, stem. So when the humans made, they just basically break them. Yeah, they got this.
Like it's a stalk. If it's like corn or something, it's thicker.
Yeah, stalk. Yeah, stalk. So basically, it's broken. And in those 5%, they're not broken. They're still alive. They just bend it somehow, and they figure out how. Somehow, water inside the stick was boiling, and it's bended because of that inside the plant itself. And they are like perfectly shaped. So of course, it doesn't like claim that these are aliens, but it definitely made by some kind of technical machinery, which is they have no idea what it is about.
Yeah, and that's what I like when scientists are doing research or investigation. They are like, okay, we think that it's unlikely for someone to do it, but we don't know. Yeah. It's always like, it will be ridiculous to like claim that who knows that not another alien species did it. Plus, there are so many natural events that are so bizarre. I even said a few I presented in the Earth book, like some rock formations that are so round, or some that are in this like hexagonal shape and so forth, that are produced by natural events, but they look so like perfectly made and so forth. So it's, to me, it's more fascinating to know that nature, through many processes, is creating this kind of perfect shapes, than to know that an alien species came from. I mean, that's interesting too, but probably is more complex when processes from nature, because you think like, wow, there must be so many processes here involved to make that shape, and it's interesting.
There's also fairy circles, which is a really cool phenomenon.
Fairy circles.
Yeah, I got it. I have it showed up on the stream right now. You guys can't see it, but it's like grows like this circular shape, or nothing will grow in this like circular shape in just like these patches, and just a really unique phenomenon. I mean, it's given mystical properties or whatever, but we can go in and dig into what it actually is. But just like cool natural phenomenon that just happened like that.
The round sphere lightning.
Oh, no,
instead of
ball
lightning like that, it's like a ball. Yeah, ball lightning that just appears, and it's very rare. It's a ball of light. but that's what creates it.
That's
the nature. It's not.
It's not a sorcerer.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, even if, say, some alien species ever comes to Earth, it's from a biological perspective, it should be such a huge difference between us that maybe we don't even have means to ever even understand that they are there in a sense. Maybe we don't get it. Maybe the way that I was thinking once, what is life after all? Because we don't even have a definition for that. So maybe what we don't consider life now, maybe a galaxy, it's alive, maybe in a sense. Maybe it has a kind of orderly structure and complex and so forth that we right now don't consider it alive. We only think that humans, because we can talk about stuff and we make little noises and we walk like that on Earth, maybe we are alive. So this is also an interesting thought. Maybe there is something out there, but it's like we like ants don't notice our presence. Probably, maybe that's how it is with us, and maybe we can never even understand such thing. That's very interesting. Because for sure there are, like we talked in the last TROM-Cast, it's impossible not to have some sort of form of life even similar to ours in the universe. But the problem is that the universe is so massive. It's so massive that we have no clue how to travel from. The distances are so huge. It's you can't even. I was always sometimes trying to put it in perspective, but it's very difficult. Like, I don't know how to put it in perspective. Like, I know that light takes a second to go to the moon, just 1 second, and the moon is really far away. Like, you can fit all of the between Earth and the moon, all of them. That's how far it is, and it's just 1 second. What about 1 year or 2 years of light traveling, like light years away? And our galaxy, to put it now in perspective, it has like 100,000 light years in diagonal, like length. That's how huge it is, 100,000, something like that. And it's thick, like it's like maybe 2,000 or something like that. And it's crazy. It's just crazy how many. It's just one galaxy. So maybe we don't have. Maybe something that's easy, and like other species discovered a way to just bend space and pop into other kinds of places. But for us, for now, it's crazy to think about it.
Yeah, like in the same documentary we're suggesting today, there was said that scientists found out that about 100,000 of planets are like technically possible where life can appear, where hydrogen can be formed. So yeah,
but at least I mean we don't even have.
Of course, it's just approximate. So just to be sure that we're like super special, Earth is super special, and it's like the only planet where life appeared. It's, I think, not reasonable.
Yeah, I think, like, if you see in the background here, it's a red image. It's a few years ago was the farthest galaxy ever photographed, and it's, I think, 14 billion light years away or something like that, and it's far away. And now they have even farther away. So imagine the immensity of space is completely crazy. But it's so fascinating, and sometimes I feel like people are diffusing or losing their interests in kind of movies or conspiracies kind of things with UFOs and shit like that, and they don't maybe think more scientifically, because it's more interesting if you think scientifically about this. The possibilities are so much greater. Once when I was in high school, I was bored, and I was in my room, and it was dark, and I had like the light bulb to turn it on, the switch had like a red light to see where it is, when it's dark. And I had my phone, a very crappy phone, and I just played around, and I was filming that. I was doing this, and on the recording you will see the light moving, phone. Just like posted it on YouTube, and even today is there. Like if you search for like UFO in Romania or something like that, it has thousands, tens of thousands of views, and people there debating. God, I think it could be an UFO. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's still there. People are still debating, probably even today. Like, I realized, like, wow, people can project so much shit about this. Oh my God. No one guessed what it is. No one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the hardest part with all these aliens is that we really lack of evidence, and there are time to time there appears some kind of footage of aliens or of like saucers flying or something like UFO, something undetectable. But then quite often in the end, it's turned out that it was like fake and made on purpose or just a joke, as you did. And I remember like
today is so sure.
Yeah, and today it's so easy to make it so real. Like
Exactly.
I don't know, a few months ago I watched footage and it was like it seems so real. Like there's like a huge saucer come down and some kind of creature come out of this, and it seems like so real. But then at the end the guy wrote in the description that he made it in with After Effects and everything. But there was like million views and people are debating and still they're thinking it's real. Although there's like in description there
but they forced him to say this. The aliens forced him to say like, hey, it's because that's the thing. Back in the days, like 10 years, 15 years ago, when you saw such footage, was very impressive if they managed to do something that looked quite real. But today, even when you do something that's so realistic, you already think that it's possible to make this today. Is so easy. It's like you can buy a package with UFO After Effects and put them in. And put them there, and that's it.
Yeah, like since I watched a video school of how to manipulate video, because I was thinking, okay, like photography, nobody trusts photographers anymore, but video, it's a bit harder to fake and edit. But when I seen the process of how you take one frame and frame by frame you can like replace any building, any person, anything, like really, and it's you realize, wow, you cannot trust anything anymore. Like what you see online, especially if it's graphical or video image.
It's even for those who watch our TROM curated videos, it's a channel called Captain Delusion. If you guys know about him, the guy is an expert in visual effects, Captain Delusion, and he always debunks such things with UFOs and stuff like that, but in a very, very interesting way. Like the guy is so good at this, he replicates everything and shows you exactly how it's done, and he's amazing on what he's doing. I'm amazed at his production level, actually. He's doing amazing stuff. So you can see there that you can do pretty much everything. With video, I'm editing videos for many years, and I played with After Effects and so forth, but I had no idea that you can do some stuff like that. Like today, even you have like smart AI in maybe After Effects that will identify an object, and they will pull it out for every frame. You don't have to do it manually, and then it replaces it in a smart way with whatever is surrounding it.
Then all the process become automated and easier to manipulate.
So we have no evidence for like any UFO or anything like that.
There was quite famous footage of the alien catched in some 40s or 50s, and they made like they were made in operation onto him.
The alien operation that was at Roswell, or I'm not sure if it was at Roswell, but I know what you're talking about.
That footage was quite famous.
Yeah.
And and then there are all this mystery around Area 51 that they've got also.
They're making a business out of it today. Because you go there and you can buy shit. You can go for a tour.
Yeah. Yeah, the
It's a
Roswell
business.
town. Yeah, it's completely overrun now.
And I'm wondering if some people say that, you know, aliens, like the government doesn't tell us about aliens, but they discovered aliens and they are in contact with them and so forth. These governments are one of the stupidest. Like they're stupid. They cannot keep a secret. I will doubt that they can. And the aliens, I will doubt they will want to stay in contact with the government. I mean, it's like they cannot. Snowden, like, fucking imagine that they had like a big organization that was spying on people and they were so secretive and so forth. And just one dude, one guy from inside, he blew away all of their fucking plans. You know, it's impossible, I think, to. I mean, people trust too much government to be smart. I never saw much evidence.
It's 2019. We got. I mean, if you want to put it into perspective, like if there was aliens and the states knew about it, like Donald Trump would have let us know by now. There's no way. There's just no way.
Or they will.
He would have had a cheeseburger with them, and like, it's gonna be great.
He'll brag about them.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Hey,
like it would be like, of course they're real. They're my friends. You know. Yeah. There's about the Canadian defense minister is like another one. It's like just because you hold that position in government does not make you a smart person, or one that it cannot be duped by special effects or faked evidence or whatever.
What about this Canadian defense minister?
He was the defense minister for Canada. I don't think he is anymore. But he we've been contacted by aliens, and like it's a government cover up, and he knows. And yeah, it's just.
Does he sell books?
I am not sure.
I think you should look for that.
Yeah, let's
that's
check
the first
that
sign. That's the drill here. You know, you got abducted by aliens, then you release a book at $9.95. You know, and explain everything that is to explain. Yeah, I've seen such things even in US and everywhere. Like they have some guy who was.
He has several books on Canada and globalization.
What's the price? What's the price? I'll buy one.
Yeah, let's see. Amazon.
Now we're going to uncover the truth. If it's straight free, I will be very surprised. Maybe I will believe him. Who knows? But if it's on Amazon, I don't think they're straight free there.
And we're searching. Wow! You can get the light at the end of the tunnel for only $36.34.
Wow.
Oh, that's a big price actually for a book.
Quite high price, man.
Wow.
Okay, the day after Roswell is only $14.94, so you can check that one out.
Okay.
Oh,
it's not really available.
That's a different guy. That's a different guy. Dang.
Man, we are as a species so stupid with people believe. Like, if I were to believe such things and buy the fucking book at $14.99, I will throw myself from a tower because I'm so stupid. How can you be so stupid? Do you think that those people have something important to say and then they sell it at $14.95? It's impossible. No one in their right minds could believe this, but apparently people buy them. They are way more popular than TROM is, or other kind of organizations, or science itself. And yeah.
Then what about Bible? When they give you Bible for free?
Ah, you see?
Does it qualify as truth?
Yeah, that Bible is straight free, but it's still bullshit.
Okay, so in 2007, the Ottawa Citizen reported that Hellier, which is the defense minister we had, is demanding that the world governments disclose alien technology so that we can solve climate change.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's wait for that. You see, because even those people who aliens will think like that. Let's imagine that this is for Korean. Then they will think very wrongly about this, because even if they had the technology to solve climate change, if they don't understand that the structure of our society creates our problems, it means that they are not smart enough. So we need to really point that out. If they come to our world and say, we give you technology to solve problems, but they don't understand our social structures that create problems, they are not that smart, I would say.
They give us the tools to solve the problem, so when we solve it, we can continue our capitalist crap.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
So they can just monitor us from Venus, Mars, and Saturn's moon, as he claims.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're living, amongst the other star systems as well.
Also, he knows
He knows.
Yes. It's interesting. Let's talk a bit about how come people really believe such things. Because I think you said you also know some people who believe
hardcore believers, the real ones. And I was amongst them, and but like as in a childlike kind of wonder of them. So it was like our imagination would run wild, and it's like you just pretend it's real, and it becomes real, and you can tell your parents it's real, and it's different when you tell your parents it's real, and then it's like they run with it and they believe their kid, and it's like, oh man, what did I do? Like I was just a kid having fun, and now like this is a serious problem, and it's like, no, but you saw the aliens, you told me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was like 8, and you know, sometimes we say some pretty ridiculous crap. I don't know. But yeah, it's just I guess how do you run away with that? But I guess it's like you almost I want to believe. So think X-Files. It's like it would be cool if that's a thing, and like it's also like an escape in a way. It's like, oh, you know, we have all our problems here, but you know, aliens can come at any point and destroy the White House. Oh, it's gonna be a battle for global domination, like any other kind of distraction, really, but just something that you can.
It can be a reaction of boredom and lack of information, probably.
Yeah,
because people, when I'm just a normal worker and my life is like quite boring, but then I find out about something that, wow, nobody knows. You know, maybe I feel a bit more important, and I want to say stuff about it.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be the one of the first guys in the pool, kind of thing. It's like I was one of the OGs, you know, kind of that. There, a video came to mind, that was one of the more recent convincing UFO sightings, and I guess for clarification, like UFOs are real, and that is just an unidentified flying object. So it's literally just something we saw that is in airspace moving or whatever, and that either the military denies knowing about, or that we just don't have an explanation at the time for maybe whatever was potentially captured, but that a UFO itself is real, but the projection that is usually incorrect is that it's an alien craft or that we're being visited. So there's this video, I think it's like an F-16 or something, one of a fighter planes that's like tracking a really fast-moving object, like over the sea or something. And it tracks it for like a good minute and a half or whatever, and you know, it's a pretty famous video. But in the same token, if we're gonna then project that that's like aliens, it's like, and it's moving erratically, and you know, this is a thing too. It's like it's moving weird and doing this stuff. But that we're able to track it with our current technology and keep up with it with not even our fastest fighter jets, and just too many things fall apart too easy. It's like we don't. It's like the superhero premise. So like these movies, you give these superheroes all these great powers, like Superman can like rewind time and like barbecue people with his mind. But it's like you'll see him in so many situations where he could have easily used, you know, one of his powers to rectify a situation, but it's not like that. It's you want to tell a story is what it comes down to. And a story isn't, you know, one guy who's like invincible to everything and just wins all the time. Like that's not an interesting story. There's got to be conflict and tension and a battle, and we give aliens, you know, so much credit that they can visit us from another dimension or star system, or that they've mastered intergalactic travel and whatever, but that we're able to see them on our shitty cell phone cameras, and it's like, oh, Joe Blow just saw one down the street, and oh, there's some aliens right there, and you know, the crash in New Mexico, and it's just like, just all falls apart so easily. It's like,
And you know what?
Go ahead, yeah.
And you know what? There are many bizarre events happening in the world of science that, because they are not so connected culturally with the idea of UFOs, nobody talks about them. For example, neutrinos. Neutrinos are very small particles that they rarely bump into something because they are so small. They, even right now, billions of them are coming to us, and as if we are not there. And when they started to discover neutrinos, I don't remember to ever someone like making a like, oh, maybe this is something like from extraterrestrials, like they are touching us or we touch them, or it was a bizarre event. But because it was closed in a closed scientific environment, nobody projected such things. And there are many such examples. Yes, they project it when it's a fight phase, like probably he sees movies and shit like that, and he's interpreting stuff. He can get fooled. It's another thing when some bizarre event happens in a closed scientific environment. And there are so many bizarre events happening in science. There are so many so-called real mysteries that need to be explained that we don't have any clue like what's happening. Like, for example, the fact that even like this is a recent huge massive discovery that the universe is expanding at increasing rates, and this is something so unexpected. I think they discovered that only like 20 years ago or something. Maybe
like
even
the 70s, I think.
No, I think it's not. It's a recent discovery actually. It's because they knew that it expanded. They didn't knew that it's
accelerating. Yeah. Okay.
So this is a bizarre event. I mean, we can invent lots of stuff, like maybe aliens are distorting our view of the universe. Maybe we are inside of a bubble but because it's not quite connected to the world of cultural things and movies and so forth, it's less projection there. That's my point here. It's less projection. It happens.
Yeah, and then again, if you think from perspective of general public, let's say you see something as UFO, unidentified object, and then what options do you have to explain it? Either it's UFO, either it's aliens, either it's something coming from the God, from Jesus, or maybe it's military. That's about it. And then you choose depending on your culture, on your belief, and then you start to project. But actually, that could be, if you see something which you cannot identify, it could be anything. It could be some natural occurrences or something else. But because we're so penetrated with our culture and our way of thinking, we just choose from what's available to us. And many people see something strange and they start to believe in God. They think it's a God sign for them or something. Others see aliens, or others more skeptical see, okay, that's like military experiment or something.
That's a good point, because back in the days when they didn't even know that those little points of lights in the sky were stars, they thought that they are it's light, it's a fire, and people were gathering around the fire and they are far away. They projected what they knew from their environment. Okay, so they couldn't even imagine aliens or planets, because no one discovered that some lights are planets like Jupiter or Saturn in our closed solar system. So they couldn't even project such thing like aliens. They only started to project after we had more detailed look at other planets. And I think one influential event was when they looked at Mars, and it was an astronomer, maybe it was like 300 years ago or 200 years ago. He looked at Mars more closely, and you can see all kinds of paths on Mars, all kinds of like the terrain. And he projected that this is a terrain made by other creatures, and they have tunnels, and he released like a book, as far as I remember, and he influenced a lot of science fiction movies. And people were like, yeah, there are other people out there on other planets that they call planets. And yeah, a lot of science fiction was inspired from
Speaking
this
about Mars, you've seen this footage which comes from Mars, and it comes in light. But actually, there were some leaks where it showed that it had the same light as on Earth. And for whatever reason, because it's cultural reason or what, we are perceive that Mars should be a red planet, they paint this footage in kind of reddish colors.
No.
That's really weird.
Mars is quite red because of the elements there and how light reflects from them. I think even if you don't have any photo of Mars, you can project very well what color it will be based on the elements.
Like the footage, I think the best I will find the video and will show it to you. So there's clearly seen that the original footage is it's kind of they have the same colors as on Earth, and then like in post-production they paint in red.
It depends, I think, what camera sensors they have probably. So maybe usually they do that in astronomy to paint a more realistic view or something else, because it depends. Usually when they send the cameras, they are all black and white actually. I will doubt if Mars rovers have colored camera. I don't think I think this happens very rarely to put colored cameras. They only put black and white cameras, and they post-process them.
Yeah, there are some videos on YouTube. I just want to find the one I've seen.
Well, that reminds me of that was an interesting thing when they found the face on Mars or whatever, Mount.
Yeah.
That was and that instantly like blew up, and it was like, yeah, that's a really cool like. And that's part of our.
If you look for patterns, I think you'll find even a dick on Mars or something. I'm sure.
Yeah, of course you can find whenever you want.
It's hard to make a good title and sell it with that kind of.
But it's again, it's your projection. It's like the guy put a toaster on a bread, and then he's seen a Jesus there, and it like went viral. I think he even sold this piece of bread or something.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Even Neil Tyson, he gave an example, interesting example with a police car. They were like in panic mode because they said, okay, some light is following us around, some light, and they called other like backups or stuff like that, and they reported a light following them. But then after like 5-10 minutes of chasing, because they didn't know where to look and so forth, it was very bright. They realized that it's the planet Venus, who was sitting on the same spot in the sky, but the guy was driving in circles because it was the road was like that, and it gave him the impression that the light was following and there. So the perspective is also very important, always.
Yeah.
The Venus is chasing me. It's so cool when I saw Venus first time through the telescope. Wow, it looks so cool. It looks like the moon, but with different shades of colors, even like bluish or reddish. It seems like a half moon, but you can see clearly that it has an atmosphere there, which is so cool.
Dang, I'm excited.
Yeah, and the sort of, yeah, we'll show you if we get a good view of it, because sometimes it's difficult to get a view of Venus. But on Venus, when they sent a probe that only like was like in 30 seconds or something, it melted away. But it's so cool to see those footage there, because it's like rock there, and it's a huge pressure.
It was crazy that it made it to the surface and was still alive. That's and just to think like that's what like worst case scenario climate change essentially is Venus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I got that into my mind. I don't know if I told you about this. I've heard Carl Sagan. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, to put things in perspective with aliens. He said that if aliens would see us from the distance, he has a lecture about this. He will think that cars are giving birth to humans, and then they just stay there and then wait for, because it's a different kind of perspective. And you look from above, like, oh, okay, a car is giving birth, and then they boom, another car is another bird. They will not understand. Even the thing with the aging, like if you see a baby who is bald and like a little bit fat, and hairless, and then an old guy who is bald, the same, and doesn't have hair. You may not know that the process is from that little baby to that big one. Maybe it's the other way around. It shrinks. So maybe their theories will be like, oh, humans are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and they become little things, and then perspectives,
Yeah.
But then again, probably if they're so smart to fly over to us, they will figure out everything. How it's supposed
Probably if they stay long enough. I don't know if they will figure out our culture.
Yeah,
I'm
not
not
the
sure.
culture, but the processes, of course. To figure out the
processes.
culture, I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
Imagine they see other people sitting in front of like a screen, they don't like a box, and they stay there and they're like, and they get angry and so forth, and they're like, what is happening? Are they connected somehow? What is going on here? I don't understand. And here's another interesting thing that I was thinking about in terms of aliens. In movies when it's an alien who comes to Earth, and he has or she has some really high-tech technology, and they know very well how to maneuver that technology and shit like that, And then if you think about it, if you kidnap a human being with a phone in their pockets, and then aliens, and then you'll ask, how does it work? For those aliens, us will be aliens. How is it working? You will not know how to reply. But in movies, it's like if you kidnapped this alien that comes to Earth with gadgets and shit, and do you ask him or her like, how does it work? And they will be like, I have no clue. You'll be like, you are bullshitting, guys. Like you expect for like aliens to know all that technology and all that shit. But the truth is that even if we find an alien species, probably they will be like entering through a hole and going to the other side, but they had no idea how to do that. Go there and ask, how the fuck they go to that hole and appear on the other side? And they will be like, I have no fucking clue. That's what we do all day, and that's how it is with us. We take out those little things and then we call somewhere else, and we don't know exactly what happens. And another thing that amused me sometimes is like, imagine if that alien operation that you said, the surgery, that they said that kidnapped an alien. Imagine another alien watching that be like, green glue, and like, I'm puking. I cannot stand it. But for us, we'll be like, what the fuck is like a green thing, And maybe they will not even know what is inside them. It's interesting. It's like we cut them open to see what's inside. And imagine that is another alien besides you, and you ask him, like, what the fuck is this, inside? And they'll be like, I don't really know. I never know. Like, a human will be the same. You take the liver out, and people will be like, I'm not sure exactly what it does. You will ask them, where is the brain? And they'll be like, oh, fuck. Somewhere in the body. So that's interesting.
Yeah, good perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We put ourselves too high on a pedestal and think
Yeah, go on.
And think like that's why I feel like we project into other aliens, and we think too high of ourselves. But if we are to be kidnapped by aliens couldn't get much from us in that sense, because we don't know shit actually.
But that's similar to religion also. The way the human made a god by like with this human abilities and human thinking. He becomes angry, and then he becomes jealous, and then he punish one. It's like purely human way of thinking in our culture. So and the same with aliens, as you just did example. Of course, maybe alien wouldn't care. Like, why do we need to abduct somebody and to look at him? We already figured out just by looking. Yeah.
If aliens come here and you'll be like, okay, are you Christian? What are you, Christian or Muslim? Do you respect our religion or not? They'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know the creator of the universe. What? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's actually a good indication. Like when you speak about something, or you have discussion about extraterrestrials or some goddess being, if they have like human nature in there, that's That's definitely not true. It's all human-made.
And I feel the same about the recent theories about we live in a computer simulation. Some people say that it's so culturally influenced, because you couldn't even project that a few years ago, probably like 50 years ago or so. And I'm sure in 100 years something new will be invented, and people will take that idea and be like, what if this is happening to us? It's always like that, projections and projections based on the culture. It's okay, but it's just don't sell books and proclaim that you know the truth.
What about time travel? Like the people claim that there are some persons who can time travel, and there's some
footage. The footage of the people on cell phones in like the 20s and stuff.
Cell phones and
yeah.
That's a good evidence. I mean, you need more than that. I mean, in science, you cannot even conceive to use that as even a way to discuss about time travel, let alone use it as an evidence. To me, even this thing with time travel, I think is so messed up by our culture, because in theory, that's not quite it happens. It's time is something that humans basically invented. No one really knows what it is. It's just transformations, with all kinds of transformations, and they realize that when you go at certain speeds, like say close to the speed of light around the Earth, for example, transformations there at the atomic level, as I know, happens differently than on Earth. So that's what it is, but it's not time in a sense. It's our conception of time, and movies made this look like, oh, maybe we can travel in the past or in the future, but in truth, it's quite impossible to be like a past and a future. It's just transformations. I think.
Yeah, like I like the short explanation that there's no time, there's only processes. And when you start to understand that, you really start to notice, yeah, exactly the same how we use time and compare it to aging, but aging is a process, really. We just become older, and and the same in all real life.
Yeah,
everything around is just the processes.
A kid with progeria who gets old very fast, it's not like he goes to time so fast. It's just the way that he transforms the body. It's different. Not even it's different from other humans. That's what it is. But movies are doing a great job at making things very confusing.
But then imagine, would we be able to live without time, like without perception of time? Like if we would have no time, then probably would have some kind of different system of how to count time or how to manage everything. But just as perspective, I think it serves humans well for now, time. But I'm not sure.
I think we wrote a book about consuming a year, and I had to look at what people considered as time in the past, and they were mostly, you see, you notice changes, and because time is about changes, you notice that the moon appears in the sky, then the sun, then it's night and day, and you will kind of have this notion of time, of changing, like something is changing, or the seasons and so forth. So I think it could be quite difficult to not have a perception of time. Probably what we want to say is that today we are a bit extreme time. Like everything is like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, like as if it's a 4 o'clock, it's real. Of course, it's not the fucking thing, but we are getting so obsessed because our society, you have to trade stuff and you have to measure everything, like people's time. I worked from 2
time is money, man.
6. Time is money, man. Yeah, of course. And it's obsessive. It's like when you you have a normal job, like I don't have a normal job. I'm always confused. Like I don't know. I'm not confused. I'm confused when people say it's Sunday. I'm like, okay, I had no idea it's Saturday. It's whatever it is,
Then it's quite complex to understand. Like this idea, when you speak with somebody and you can kind of mention that actually there's no time, it's really hard to like get it straight away because you think it's like not possible. And I remember for me it took also quite a long time to realize that maybe after a while, okay, I'm kind of agree, but I still don't understand this, like how there is no time, because soul from your birth till like the present moment, your life basically is structured around the time shift. Decisions, and then you go to school, to work these days, then 2 days off, and like everything. And then you realize it's just man-made to somehow manage our lives in society and somehow to explain all the processes.
To track down changes and project further. To project about like when is the next season to grow food or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think my point was that like the invention of time was kind of necessarily for human to develop, to evolve further. Maybe when we became more advanced, we will be able to kind of abandon this idea and we will not use time as much as we use today. Like, today, as you said, all life is based around the time. To be more efficient, to make faster, to go faster there, to earn more money and everything.
I also think it's unjust that we say it's 2019 because it somehow in a way projects that just 2019. Human beings are like, the planet is 4.5 billion years old. Humans are probably the modern humans, like 200,000 or 1 million years, depends how you see it. And it's quite unjust, at least if it would start at like 12,000 years ago with the invention of agriculture. I know in a nutshell, the YouTube channel, they have like an interesting YouTube channel, Nutshell. They made a different kind of calendar. We have this channel on our credit videos as well. And they started with like 12,000 years ago to put things in perspectives. And they say today, now is the year 14,000 or something like that. It changed, maybe look at things. Because when people said that, oh, the year 2000 is the end of the world, some people were saying that as if it's fucking like a universal thing. It's a man-made thing. What the fuck are you talking about?
But some people actually believe that the Earth is like 2,000 years old.
Dude. But yeah, it's like it's the year 12,019 this year is the human era calendar is Kurt Sassat's thing. And that's you like this it discredits like the period of time of like human achievement, and like that's 5 times as much time as we almost recognize it. I think back to 0 BC, it's like, oh, we were just all like cavemen and shit. It's like, and that's wrong.
Yeah, good point actually, buddy. Like it seems somehow, like naturally.
Yeah, it's like 0. Okay, that's where we started.
we're monkeys or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
They reset the time when
and then 2,000 years this
popular guy
happens?
Jesus. That's when they reset the time. They said like, oh, is this popular guy Jesus? And they're like, okay, let's call it like year 0 and let's start from now. And people were like, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, but whoever came up with this idea to start year 0?
I think it was the influence of churches and the way that they made the calendars. Of course, they didn't think that is the year 0, but I think they pushed that idea to calendars. It was a bit of an obsession with calendars and.
Yes, definitely, because also at the time churches were really connected with education. That was mainly the only place where they educate persons, like today's universities, sort of.
There are other calendars, but this one was pushed in the most aggressive way, probably. That's why it survived.
Good promotion.
Yeah, fucking good promotion.
Yeah, of course, Jesus is a brand. Like, today there are so many goods with Jesus, like with aliens. They're like the same burgers with Jesus, or like backpacks and like wallets and what's not.
That's our society. If we ever find an alien species, people will try to sell it. Like people will be like, yeah, we are going to make the new brands and the new documentaries and the new books about it.
Yeah.
Everything's like that. Like it's so like a disease. I don't like it at all. It's awful. The aliens. Yeah, there are some people who say that there are aliens on the other side of the moon and stuff like that. I've heard that. to me, what bothers me is like, how can you be so sure of something? Like, you are saying something very different from what the scientific consensus is all about. How can you be so sure? You know, I don't know how.
Because you don't trust scientists, you think.
Exactly. Yeah. That's. I think we should make an entire TROM-Cast about who can we trust, because I think this is a huge problem. People are like, they don't even know who to trust. They trust whatever it's more interesting on Facebook.
Another point, I really understand them. Like, if you find out some new topic, let's say about the same aliens, and then you go to find some information online, and you will find like huge amount of like conflicting statements from both sides, and from one side and from another. They're like, you can believe any of them, and they're like quite reasonable, you know, sometimes both of them. So you don't really know. You don't have this tool of scientific, you know, judging and scientific way of thinking of how can you eliminate like less probable and to kind of the most probable. So it's really also like today it's a huge problem of vast majority, like vast of information, which is a contradictory, and you don't know, and then you believe, oh, okay, I kind of think the aliens are real because it's just cool, and I would like to believe that, you know.
What bothers me about this is that people say, I don't trust science or scientists, but they trust another guy, because it's not like they do any scientific experiment. They just trust someone else. It's always a play of who you trust. They trust that guy who say that, I met the aliens and I released a book. So I feel like I would trust more the scientific consensus than a bunch of guys who are selling books at $14.99.95. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but our culture not promoting this kind of thinking from very beginning of your life. You're just exposed to the guys who lie you in adverts, you know, and everyone pretends they're telling the truth, but in fact they just want some kind of trade with you or sell some crap to you, and you just don't know. You don't have this skill, kind of this tool of you to kind of decide on your own what can be true, so what like definitely not.
And it's not even that they necessarily don't even trust science, because everybody has one of these, and this is impossible without fucking science. And everybody's walking around with it, but it's like they accept the refrigerator and the furnace and the smart TV and the computer and all the great services we're using and the internet. But it's like climate change. You guys got that one wrong. Come on, get out of here. Like, what? It's like you just pick and choose whatever you like, and it doesn't matter if it conflicts with, like, you know, the fact that, like, how you could use GPS on your phone and believe in flat Earth. Like, you're gonna navigate to, like,
They have an answer for that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, the answer is that we don't have like satellites, but they're actually on Earth. So there's like huge antennas which emit the signal on Earth.
And if you take one of those guys who says this and asks him, where did you get that information from? They get that information from another guy or another group of people. So they are suffering from the same disease that they say others are suffering from. They trust some other people. You know, like you trust science because you don't have the skills or resources to investigate on your own. The same way they are trusting some other guys. So that's why I'm like, okay, shut up with your bullshit, because you are trusting other guys as well. It's not like you know this. So that's what it is with.
Yeah, but the key here is to really learn to kind of sort of information and to understand it. But it's not really possible, because imagine when you watch TV and there is a guy in a doctor's suit and he's telling, you know, smoking is actually healthy. And just because he's in the suit and he looks like doctor, he very, you know, respectable, responsible person in his 50s, you think, yeah, that's possibly truth. But if you would have scientific mind, you would think, okay, what kind of doctor, where I can find like information about him, like at least his name, surname, what kind of doctor he is, if he's really a doctor, and like where's the link to the study, and so on. So if people think that way, like majority of people, it just wouldn't be possible to sell stuff to them, really, at least in a such stupid way.
I think that there are three levels of truth in this world, and I was thinking about this a lot. So I think the first is what is true, regardless what we know about it. Like atoms were true even 1,000 years ago, but we didn't know about atoms. So that's the first level, is whatever is true, whatever the fuck, you know. The second is science. Is the best method that we invented. You do experiments, you replicate, you organize everything so well to interpret it. And the third one is the ones who summarize the science, are the media. The media, those are who are taking scientific research and put it out there on Facebook or on YouTube and so forth. And I think we as human beings, we interact a lot with the third one. Because you cannot go to the first one. You cannot go there and be a scientist, because this is extremely difficult to see what is true, to see if aliens are true, are real. You cannot go, you don't have the resources. So you rely either on scientists who are doing the experiments, or you rely on media who are summarizing those experiments. And both of these are very much influenced by our trade-based society. And this is where our confusion comes from, because scientific experiments, like health experiments, are financed by big corporations, and then you may not trust them that well. Media, you know, it's all about clickbait. So it's for us, it's a challenge of sorting where to get that information from, who to trust, because we cannot know how to discover the truth. And that's the problem here. For example, that's what we try in a way to do with TROM-curated news, to find sources that have less are less influenced by our trade-based society. And they don't want clickbait, and they are not sponsored by some big corporations and so forth. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
True is true.
If you want to know if aliens are real, you have three options. You go there and you investigate on your own, but that is extreme. It's impossible. You don't have the tools. You go to the science, but then you will say some science might be like sponsored by some companies, or is not, or you don't understand the science because you're not expert in every field. You have to read some scientific papers to understand that you honestly don't know the human language, because you don't know what those people are talking about. So you rely on the third option, those who are summarizing things for you, those who say they are aliens or are not aliens. And for that, choose the sources that have less reasons to lie about it. And for me, if someone sells a book and accepts, I'm not going to trust him or her or the organization. I'm for that. That's the first red flag. And if you ask NASA, for example, there are so many people who are skeptical about NASA, and I'm sure NASA did a lot of shit, of course, like any organization. But still, I mean, it's still quite open in the way that they showcase their whatever they do, their research and their findings and so forth. And to me, NASA is way more trustful. I trust NASA way more than I trust that guy from the Canadian space, whatever minister. Defense minister. Between those two, I trust NASA. I'm sorry, but I trust NASA. I don't see why they will have any reason to lie about this. And I know that they have the capability of detecting if there is any kind of alien life or something like that. That's what I would trust.
It's also funny.
There was some strange footage from NASA. Like they were filming something underwater, which like pretending they're in space, and some of the spacecraft were like literally made of some cardboard and stuff like that. Yeah, for whatever reasons.
That's why they train. That's why they train for space missions, because it's an easy way to replicate that weightless environment. They have these special, really deep pools where they simulate everything. They have a complete replica of, say, ISS or parts of ISS. That's what they do. Because this is another conspiracy, like, oh, they didn't even went to the moon and all kinds of stuff like that.
I think somebody just take out this short footage out of the context, and they basically kind of.
And if you don't know a lot about this,
for example, I didn't know that.
Yeah, then you'll be like, why are they doing that? This is
Yeah,
strange,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But if you know this, it's so easy to explain if you know this. And it's the same as with aliens. Of course, the more you know about, even Neil Tyson said, I didn't see any report from astrophysicists or astronomers because they know what they are looking at. You know what you are looking at. You know what's in the sky, how things move. You know a thing or two. That's why you don't see reports from them. The more you know. Yeah. It's
Okay.
interesting
Anything
subject,
else
yeah.
about aliens?
Yeah.
I wish they will come to Earth just because, like, fuck this trade base was better ideas.
Well, we sent some signals to them about 20 years ago or so. About 49,000 light years there should be there, and then 49,000 years.
That's it. Okay.
Reply back. And
I got time.
Sometimes I'm so pissed off with this world that I really hope some alien species will kidnap me. I go outside and I stay like that, and I'm like, come on, get me. Please get me.
You just have to go to America at night at the field where the cows.
Yeah.
This is the highest probability for you.
Southern America.
Exactly. And the cows, the cows are there all the time. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a good spot. Jesus Christ, yeah. And also, it's this thing with when we send stuff about us, like with the Voyager, we send a disk with our sounds of the Earth and not photos, but representations of human beings and so forth. I mean, I think it's a nice idea, but I completely doubt that any alien species will be able to play those things back. Because take how do you call those old like recordings, discs or records,
vinyl.
and give to vinyls, and give that to a 12-year-old kid or a cassette. I've seen those videos on YouTube, like you give a cassette to a kid and on a Walkman, that we used back in the days, and they're like, what the fuck, they press buttons on the cassette but won't put the cassette inside. Really? They don't know, like, they listen to it, like you see, it's so difficult even for such things, such little differences in our culture.
Yeah, and there was the same joke with this cassette. If you give this cassette to the kid and gives a pen and figure out what's the connection.
Yeah.
And I think there's no clue, like the kid could even imagine like how they're connected.
Skip it forward, go backward, and
because you're saving your batteries. It's like how in the world anyone could imagine even this,
So we are all old now, all of us. We are old.
You just dated us.
Cassettes.
But that's perfect perspective with the aliens as well. Yeah, if our kids like couldn't figure out such things, that like how alien can figure out like the way we think and
the poster, and she was like scrolling the poster, looking at the fixed poster on a subway, and she was like trying to scroll it. And like, what's this happening? Nothing is happening here. Not everything is touch screen,
Yeah.
And imagine, an alien species. Even if you get that package from Voyager, even to some scientists today that are from different kinds of fields of science, they may struggle a little bit because they represented pulsars to detect our location in our galaxy. So it's difficult. It's so difficult. But of course, I understand. Maybe it's okay to send that for whatever reasons. They will take it, they will eat it or something.
Free gold.
Yeah, it was gold. And even then, they didn't draw the genitalia of humans. They just put there some kind of breast, but then nothing else. Those aliens will wonder, like, are those people like made of sticks? Like they are two-dimensional, like this? What is that? There's even a photo. We are so used to like people standing on their feet like that, But what if you look at the other way around? Who says that we don't stay like that with our heads down? I mean, you have no idea how other worlds are. Probably no. Yeah, we have another documentary on video on it called Alien Planet, and they imagine how a life on another planet will be from the perspective of biologists. And they imagine that you can even see, like, if the atmosphere is very dense, you could see whales, like big whales, like blue whales, flying to the atmosphere like that. You can even see that. And plants could grow like hundreds of meters tall if the gravity will be very, very low. You know, it's small changes in even in the composition of an atmosphere, like more hydrogen or so and so forth, can create a huge impact.
Yeah.
Even on our planet, you know that when the dinosaurs were alive, it was no grass in the world.
Yeah, that was...
Which is really strange to see, like, no grass? Yeah, when dinosaurs were alive, there was no grass. And it's almost like I see it like a disease today, because grass is everywhere.
Yeah.
You put, like, you create a city out of like cement and so forth, leave it there for like 100 years, and grass and plants will take it over. Like, from that concrete, they will somehow penetrate it, and it's like a crazy thing that spread all around the world.
Well, I think the grass thing we actually brought over here, like for Canada and stuff, that they brought it over here and started like planting it everywhere. I'm fairly certain I saw this was a thing, because I've been to the whole, like, people maintaining their lawns and stuff, and just like what a huge waste, the whole, like, people mowing their lawns and maintaining the lawns. And you should have, like, they like imported.
They didn't spread it, like it was already on the continent.
I think they brought it here, is what I'm like. They brought this specific grass.
Our specific, okay.
Yeah, to bring over here, and for lawns and stuff. So that's what you see everybody trimming now. But they're making the case that you should just have like a wild lawn that just has like many different species that like kind of keep everything in check and whatever, and that we planted this grass species that grows pretty quick, and that we have to maintain it like it's so silly and backwards that we should have a lawn that maintains itself as opposed to.
And that's so weird, because there are like special lawn grass which grows like few centimeters, so you don't need to cut it. But imagine why it's not so popular.
Jeez, unreal.
They even imported, with imported ice from the north or the south when we didn't have refrigerators. Huge blocks of ice, and they will sell them for cooling down homes or like for food. Imagine what a waste, to bring huge blocks of ice to like whatever, Europe or all kinds of things like that.
But also what they do now, they try to gather water from icebergs, like the super pure and clean water. They catch icebergs and just put them into bottled water and sell it super expensive.
But you're not filtering it through diamond steam. That's how you get the extra.
And I think to get back to the discussion, I think aliens, because I was thinking about water. I was thinking how dependent we are on water. And it's so bizarre from outside. It's like this substance that we put in our mouth and our bodies all the time, and we are made of so much water, basically. It's like when you see a jellyfish on land, it looks nothing like a jellyfish. It's like a blob of just like thing. But in the water, it's very different. And same with us. If you see a dried human being without water, it will be like I said, and it's so different. And it will be so bizarre, I think, for an alien species to see how dependent we are on this substance. And maybe for them it will be actually like a poison, which is interesting. Puts other things into perspective. Okay. If you have...
yeah, we got the news. Okay, so first one here is the 4D printed metamaterials they came out with. The soft as a sponge. And
I've seen it.
Yeah, it was let's see here. It was just really cool. another a 4D time being the fourth dimension, and it I guess it changes shape by heating and cooling. And so yeah, it heated it goes back to its.
Because you make a structure and then you make it very, very compact, and then maybe you can put it through some tubes, or if you want to insect it somewhere, and there you can trigger it with maybe temperature or electricity, and it will become that shape and it will stick there. And yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, very, very. All kinds of uses for that. Microsoft is creating a Linux-based smartphone. Oh, I didn't know how to. What?
That's a really good one. Yeah.
I was about to like pull that news out from TROM News when I saw it. Like, I think I'll ban all of the words with Microsoft in it. Because
no, it's a perfect news. It just shows how arrogant they are. You know, like the Microsoft, and now they claim that it will be like super safe and it will be kind of decentralized and your data will be protected. But
privacy.
Like, would you trust Microsoft? I mean, it's like one of the biggest monsters who trade your data.
Maybe their selling point is to say, don't worry, it's not like Windows.
Yeah. Well, they actually specifically call out Cortana. They're like, she won't be there. It'll be somebody else.
Yeah, but the article is like, it's more like positive towards this direction. That's why I was like, it's not critical of.
Yeah, it's.
No, it's not critical, but it's critical in our context. I mean, to mention it. So, yeah, it reminds me like cigarette companies. Yeah, they poisoned people for many years with cigarettes, and now they came. Okay, now we've got healthy choice, especially for you because we care about you. Hey, cigarettes.
Yeah, these cigarettes. Yeah. I'm sick to see such technology companies being like, oh, we are open source now. We make something that's open source. Look how much we care. Shut the fuck up. Microsoft doesn't even have like a native Skype application. It's an application that is made by other people. It's not even native, as far as I know. They don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up. It's like Google. They say we create Android and it's open source, and maybe mostly it's open source, but so what? It doesn't even matter. You can create an open source operating system to sell your phones or to sell your products, and it's still open source. It makes no difference. It makes no difference.
And the last one is the future of computing and why you should care, which is pretty cool.
I didn't see this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's basically a video where the guy from Purism explained kind of sustainable business model. The main point of his talk is that the way sustainable businesses work is just you put priority into the people and then capital on the second place. So he gives example of $1. Like if you're in a capitalist company and you see that you can increase your profit by $1, but that decision will harm people, you still have to do it because it gives you more profit. You just cannot do it. And in his business, like Purism and sustainable business, if you see this $1, but human, you don't get like it, you're not going to earn this $1. So priorities are towards humans, and income is basically secondary.
Yeah. So what they're saying here about that $1 thing is that they're pretty much there's legal precedent because of eBay versus Newman. To say that it is like irresponsible to not maximize shareholder value, so that if that dollar is available and they don't go for it, that potentially they're liable to be like responsible for that, and that obviously that puts humans at a low second at the very least, and that if we're gonna like continue correctly, that somewhere in there we need to factor in humans and ethical business practice as opposed to just that number one profit motive.
Do you think you can have like ethical business practices? I really doubt it. I mean,
I think you can, but not on a massive scale, not on like international scale, not like on a global scale like mega corporations. You can have it locally.
Depends. Even Ubuntu, they started like that. They were supported by a millionaire, and they started to introduce stuff like, oh, we put Amazon there in your searches, and then a little bit here, a little bit there. The pressures are always so high.
That's exactly the thing is, the more your brand becomes recognizable, the more money it starts to bring, the more it's harder to sustain this sustainable way of managing the company. I see a lot of small businesses who do just locally, maybe they sell like to 50 or 100 people, and they're pretty good at it. They've got their policy, their ideology, and they just work. But as soon as any small business start to grow larger, then where's the problem?
Or there is any pressure. Even if I'm a small company, if I'm under pressure, I can fuck things up if I'm in debt or something like that.
But mainly this pressure comes from your growth, actually. The more you grow, the more responsibility, the more people start to be dependent on you, there are more investors, they invest more money and so on. So it slowly became, and it's also the problem with organizations, the same. When an organization starts, quite often it's just some activists, some really ideologically strong persons who really like fighting towards idea, and the more organization becomes larger and more influential, the more money start to pour in, and that's like fucked everything. Always, it's just like a rule.
But it's also when you are very close to like bankruptcy, for example, that can also push you to do shit. I've seen that in open source, with open source projects, developers getting no pay, and they said, okay, we are going to insert ads into those open source software. We add premium features, and shit like that happens all the time.
So I think it's kind of possible in a small way, but like generally I would say it's not. I don't know.
It's tricky.
It is, yeah.
That was 3 news. So, I guess closing thoughts on Alien.
My closing thoughts on aliens are like, aliens exist, but it's very unlikely to exist the way that we imagine them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. I think we should be at least surveying the sky more than the minor fraction of a percent that we are. Just even if we're not looking for a specific thing, just being open and receiving that. I mean, if we want to harvest all the data, right? We're doing that for the people. Why don't we do that for all the stuff just coming at us from space? I mean, that seems a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, who are you gonna sell all this crap to?
We sell. The conspiracy
what
theorists.
The reason they gather so much data to improve something? Yeah, their sales. That's the only thing to improve.
We'll sell it to
Aren't companies going into space now? Companies are trying to privatize space, and some people are so excited about this. Yeah, we're going to privatize space, as if this is a good idea, Sure, yeah. If they discover aliens, make sure that you have to pay a premium to watch or to get stuff from.
They will copyright them straight away. So
yeah.
Their footage.
Aliens are our property now.
Yeah.
Aliens will be pretty fucked if they come.
If they meet Apple or Google, they'll be like, fuck, okay, guys. They will be for sale, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. I think that's
better not to come here.
Yep, I think. What did you say?
Better not to come here.
Yeah,
better not to come here. Especially if we privatize space. I mean, it's so great. At least we, NASA went into space and other agency companies, and we have photos of, say, Pluto and stuff like that. If companies will go, we have to pay for like a photo with Pluto, and in the future, probably stream from Mars, or you have to pay for that, which is really fucked up. And some people think that no, this drives innovation, maybe, but it also drives a lot of shit. Like, come on. Yep. Okay, then. I'm so hungry. I need to go to eat now. Little alien creatures.
All right. I guess it was Extraterrestrial.
So next week, Dima, you cannot participate, right?
Yeah, I'm away.
Why are you away?
For 2 weeks.
Why are you away? Yeah. Are we still on?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Got it. See you, everyone.
See ya.